In this video, I'm going to derive the quadratic formula from the standard form of a quadratic equation. So the standard form for a quadratic equation is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So first step is to divide every term by a, which creates a 1 in front of the x squared, which is just easier to deal with. So dividing each term by a is x squared plus b over a x plus c over a is equal to 0. Now we're going to complete the square right here, which involves taking half this term, squaring it, or half this coefficient, squaring it, and then adding it, and then subtracting it. So half of this coefficient is b over 2a, just multiplying by 1/2. And then squaring it gives just b squared over 4a squared. So to complete the square, we're just going to add this term and then subtract it. But we're going to add it right next to here, which creates a perfect square factoring trinomial, if you will. So what that looks like is x squared plus b over a times x, and then plus b squared over 4a squared, and then minus b squared over 4a squared. And then we still have plus ca. So plus ca, or c over a, is equal to 0. And what this does is it creates a perfect square, or we can factor a perfect square from this trinomial right here, which is what we wanted. And what this factors into is x plus b over 2a quantity squared. And the b over 2a is just half of this coefficient, which is right here. And if you FOIL this out, you will get exactly this right here. Okay, and then I'm actually going to move these two terms right here to the other side. So this one's going to become positive, this one's going to become negative. So this equals positive b squared over 4a squared, and then minus c over a. Okay, so if we square root both sides, that'll get rid of the square. So x plus b over 2a is equal to plus or minus, can't forget that when taking a square root, plus or minus the square root of b squared over 4a squared minus c over a. Now to create one fraction in here, we have to get a common denominator, but a little shortcut is just to cross multiply to get the numerator, and then just multiply the denominators to get the denominator. So we have x plus b over 2a equals plus or minus the square root of, okay, so cross multiply these two, so ab squared, then cross multiply these two, so that's 4a squared c, or so it'll be minus 4a squared c. So minus 4a squared c. And that's over the product of these two, so that's 4a cubed. So 4a cubed. Now, if you notice, we have an a in both terms up here and an a down here, or a cubed, but we can still factor an a from the numerator and cancel it with one of these down here. So if we do that, we get x plus b over 2a equals plus or minus the square root of a times b squared minus 4ac. Just factoring out an a from right here. And this is all over 4a cubed. Now we can cancel this a with one of these here, so this becomes a square term. So just rewriting b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Now we can actually break this square root up, so we can do the square root of the numerator divided by the square root of the denominator. So that becomes x plus b over 2a is equal to plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by the square root of 4a squared. And then this denominator just simplifies to 2a, right? Because it's just the square root of 4 is 2, square root of a squared is a. So I'm going to do that, but at the same time, I'm also going to subtract this term to the other side. So we are going to have x is equal to plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, and then minus b over 2a. And since these two fraction terms both have a 2a in the denominator, we can combine them into one fraction with a denominator of 2a. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to put the negative b actually in the front, because then it will start to, look like the quadratic formula. Or it will be the quadratic formula. So we have x is equal to, so I'm going to put this negative b right in front, so negative b, and then plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. And there you have it. That is the quadratic formula derived from the standard form of a quadratic equation right here.